It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. So for the month of May, we had actually run a competition on our podcast, which was to give some ideas on stickers. We're thinking of doing stickers to basically do some fundraising, and I suppose it gives us something fun for the community to get involved with and get as an actual product rather than just straight up asking for money. In the month before, in April, we'd actually asked for a vote if people wanted desk mats or stickers, and the stickers won out pretty much like a landslide. So we've actually managed to get a number of different suggestions, and I'll show you them very shortly. But today's video is going to be me essentially getting those ideas out there, maybe doing some rough sketches, and I hope that anybody who's watching this isn't going to try and steal these ideas, borrow these ideas, and produce stickers before we get to. Now, I know that we're a very closely knit community and there are some really great sticker producers already out there, but if you do like these ideas, please be patient with us to actually get a sticker out there and support us, rather than maybe running with these ideas and getting a sticker out there before we get to do that. So this is kind of like an idea claim more than anything else, and some rough sketches. But of course, if you want to help us out and you want to work with us and actually produce these, because I'm a terrible artist myself, and I'm probably going to rely on some people with more skills and experience in actually developing these into a suitable sticker form, then please get in touch with us. So let's check out what we've actually got to work with. So here is a list of some of the ideas that came through. I do apologize if you had an entry that came in here, but I had made the mistake of accidentally unlabeling all the competitions from May. So if I do have you not in that list, I'm very sorry. Please hit me up, let me know, and then I can make sure that it's part of the suggestions. But you'll see there's a number of them which are fairly standard, which is like our logo in different shapes and styles. So we're not really going to be focusing terribly much on that. Instead, we're going to be looking at some of the more interesting ones. For example, you know, the robot tossing some switches into its mouth. I can already clearly see that. You know, like the melon and popcorn mashup is actually probably one of my favorites right now, because I've got really good ideas on what I would like that to look like, even though I'm not very good at actually drawing. The diving into the keycaps, that one's pretty cool. And surfing on a keyboard, the Bugling Spring beaten in MX Blue, a cherry switch. You know, that kind of stuff is what we're going to try and sketch out today. Okay, so thank you to everybody who's been really supportive of the show and actually getting these ideas in. So let's switch over to the desktop. So I got some paper. Oh, the camera's gone and wigged out. And I'm also borrowing my daughter's markers because I don't really have many markers myself. I don't think there's much need for this front-facing camera at the moment, so we'll switch that off and you can see my messy desktop. So the first one I think we'll go with is the robot tossing some switches into its mouth. So that one should be pretty straightforward, I think. You know, it's going to be kind of like a standard robot-y sort of squarish head maybe, and then there's going to be some kind of like mouth open. I guess it's almost, you know, benderish maybe, or I don't know, it depends on the angle of the profile. I'm not very good with that. Could be some, I don't know, bolts or some kind of thing to indicate that it's a robot with some kind of neck. I don't know, do robots have teeth? Maybe do, maybe they don't. And then of course there's going to be the robot hand. I don't know why, but robot hands typically always get depicted with like 3 fingers, and then there'll be just a bunch of switches in the air, maybe some switches in its hand, and it's going to be chomping on them down, and an arm of some kind. Something like that, maybe. Or I suppose it could be more of a front facing, so then you're going to have like, I don't know why robots always seem to have a square head either, but maybe some robot teeth. And then there's some switches going into its mouth. kind of thing. And there's like a hand over here, maybe. Switches in the air on its way in. Maybe some motion streaks, so it indicates that there's actually something been thrown in. I don't know. What do you think? Something nice and simple. Okay, so that's the robot idea. That's kind of like, it's very classic, it's very simple. Just think like Futurama, and Bender is just like, you know, tossing some, I don't know, bits of titanium or something into its mouth, some poker chips or something like that. That would work pretty well, pretty easy. Now the next one down the line, singing Christmas carols. There's actually already been something like that where we did actually have one of our monthly competitions before, where people were to draw caricatures of their favorite part of the show, and somebody had already sent something like that in, and I don't remember the exact, but it was basically the two of us, me with glasses, and then there was Kevin on this side, and there was like musical notes, and I think there might have even been like a holly leaf or something like that. That just looked like I gave myself a mohawk. Kevin's luscious locks. So something like that would probably work really simple, but I don't know if that's necessarily what people would like to see, the very infamous Christmas Carol episode, which shall probably never be repeated again. I still have heebie-jeebies thinking about that episode and how bad that ended up. Keycap Profiles. So this one's really interesting because I don't know how you would necessarily draw some of these without potentially getting into trouble. And the reason why I mention that is because, for example, the SA Keycaps is already well profiled on the Signature Plastics website. They actually have a graphics for this. But I don't know if it's like a copyrighted or trademarked picture. Now, of course, you know, you could probably easily talk to them and find out if they have an issue in using it in stickers. And, you know, that's like a really horrible cherry depiction type of thing. And then, of course, you've got your DSA. The question with that is, if you would do a sticker like this so that each profile set is its own sticker, or if you would do like one big sticker that actually compares all of these profiles. The alternative thought to that is you would actually do like what they did with the hub profile. So when the Kickstarter for the hub key set was happening, they had actually set up those different keycap profiles so they were stacked on top of each other. And it was like, you know, here is what this profile looked like. And then there's the spacebar profile. And then they put the cherry profile ones over the top. And it was like, you know, like that, and then like that, and then whatever it was. And so you could actually see the actual comparison of the profiles on top. And I think that in itself potentially could work really well. But of course it can get a bit messy, and they were using different colors, and they were using like dotted lines and things like that to indicate this is what all of those profiles look like. I think that would probably be alright, as long as you kept it really clean and neat so that you can actually tell what it is. The problem with that as an infographic for the uninitiated is that if you started to have to add legends to the bottom and say what each one of those things are, it can get really messy. So stickers need to be clean, they need to be recognizable, they need to be, you know, quick and easy with strong lines and not necessarily a lot of fine detail is typically what good stickers will look like. But I think idea-wise, it works. It's just a matter of which style is actually going to work out better between the intent of having stickers. Okay, So a clean enter or ISO, clean escape or an ISO, well, obviously you're just going to have like a keycap, some kind of maybe geometric, and it'll just be something like that, or just some kind of profile view like that. Maybe a bit of shadowing like that, and then of course in your pastel colors. Right, moving on to slogan. Well, it's really just a banner. That's not really terribly, well, I'm not going to say challenging, but it's not going to be probably the most of difficult things to envisage, so I won't bother writing that out. I'm going to go to a new page because this is one of the ones that I really have some fun thoughts on. Well, how about we just put that there? So the popcorn and melon mashup was just straight up in my head. I just laughed because I had such an image, and there's actually 2 versions of this that I had. Well, now there's 3 because I thought about it a bit harder, but what I was thinking of to start with that mashup was that you actually had a popcorn box. So that's like, you know, the front of the popcorn, and then there's the back of that popcorn box. I know I'm not drawing boxes very well. Of course, you're going to have the red and white stripes on it, as a classic popcorn box has. And the popcorn is going to have a bit of personality because it's going to be, you know, like there's a popcorn. The popcorn's got arms with, you know, like a hand, and the arm's going to come around. And the popcorn is actually eating a melon. And that was like the first thought that I had. Like the popcorn could even be sitting, you know, with its feet dangling on like a chair or a bench or something like that. Just like the bench of some kind, like that. And in the popcorn's arms is going to be like a watermelon. So that was the first thought that I had, and of course the top is going to be filled with popcorn. Now the inverse of this, my daughter's just come in and she spotted me drawing with her markers. Yes, Daddy's borrowing your markers. Is that okay? Yeah? Do you want to come and see what Daddy's drawing? Yeah? You want to come up? Yeah? Oh, do you know what that is?
Yeah.
What is it?
A cake.
A cake. Oh, she's calling the popcorn a cake. And what's that?
A watermelon.
Yeah, you know what a watermelon is. Oh, well, Daddy's now going to draw a watermelon. Okay. So here is a big watermelon, isn't it? Yeah? Is it a big watermelon? Now, I don't think there's a dark green. No, there's no dark green. So what Daddy's going to do is he's just going to draw sort of stripey, so that there's like the different stripes of the watermelon. Yeah?
Daddy, what's this?
What's that? Well, they're Keycap Profiles. And then, of course, the watermelon's got to have a bit of personality to it. So we can just put, you know, the eyes on the watermelon. And there's
a big smiley mouth.
Big smiley mouth, yeah. And then The watermelon's got arms. What's the watermelon going to eat? Daddy's going to draw the watermelon sitting in some kind of weird chair thing. Bit of a high back chair there for the watermelon. Okay. Well, the watermelon's going to be eating popcorn.
Popcorn.
Yeah, do you like popcorn? Yeah. So there's the popcorn box. Now, of course, if you have absolutely no idea why there's a watermelon eating popcorn or a popcorn eating watermelon, it's because of a lot of controversy lately in the keyboard community. And normally when there's drama, people talk about popcorn because you sit there and you're eating popcorn like you're watching a movie. Whereas we've discovered that the Chinese sort of equivalency of a popcorn scenario is they're sitting in the front row and they're eating melon. So that's where the idea of this comes into play. Now, so this is version 1, this is version 2, and version 3 is kind of like both of them together. So they're sitting side by side and they're eating exactly what's happening here, but they're actually together and they're watching something else that's obviously happening off the actual picture. Which one do you like better? Do you like popcorn eating watermelon or watermelon eating popcorn? You like watermelon eating popcorn? Yeah. Okay. Well, Daddy's now going to move on to another picture. Okay. All right. So the next one, Downbubble breaking through a table. That one's probably, start moving some of these markers a little bit off to the side. So now the Downbubble itself is aluminium, but that's not a big deal. So we'll just use a black to indicate the weirdness of it. And there's the rotated bit there. There's the bit there. There's the bit there. And then we would draw like, I don't know, a fractured table. And then something like that. Maybe. Well, that was a terrible place to put it. A chair, a table leg. Do you know what that is? What did Daddy just break? Where's that? A chair? Oh, well, I suppose if you dropped a Downbubble on a chair, you could possibly break that too. All right, moving on to the next one. Diving into a vault of keycaps. Okay, so if you are old enough to know like DuckTales, where there's that entry, the intro of the actual cartoon where Scrooge jumps off the vault, off the springboard into the coins and starts swimming around, that is kind of like what they're talking about in this particular idea. What are you doing? Are you waving to people?
No.
No, you're not waving to people. All right, so we need like a springboard. And then, of course, there's going to be some kind of stick person. Well, possibly not stick person. Ooh, right. So if they're diving, so that's going to be arms down and whatnot. And then there's the head, there's the body, and then there's the legs. And then, of course, you're going to have all sorts of different keycaps. So we'll just use a purple because we can. And then it'll somehow have to be evident that there's a lot of keycaps. That one's a little bit harder because trying to actually get the idea and feel of what keycaps are, like it's going to be pretty challenging to encompass all of that in, unless if you somehow, you know, focus on the fact that it's only just that you cut out the diving board and the vault, and it's just a lot of keycaps, like just down here kind of thing. But you know, this is just ideation at the moment on how that could work, because I'm not very graphically or design image strong. I can see it, but for it to work in a sticker, especially if it's going to be a certain size that you're working with, then that might be a little bit challenging. And then, so we've still got a bit of space on that one. So surfing on a keyboard was really interesting because I had an image. Green, yeah. Do you want to use the green one? Okay, let's use the green one. So I originally had an image which was just basically, you know, like a keyboard is a surfboard, right? But then I thought, how could you make that even more recognizable for keycaps? And I thought about using like an SA keycap profile as the wave that you're actually surfing down. And then I started getting into a deeper thought, and like as you're surfing down the SA profile, behind the keyboard surfboard would actually be like the wave would be keycaps, and it would just be peeling off keycaps. So I know that's a lot to encompass in there, and it might not be possible to actually fit that in, but you know, that's what ideation is all about, right? So here's the actual keycap, right? So there's a big keycap kind of thing. See, even trying to draw what an SA profile kind of looks like is really challenging. Yeah, what's that? You know what that is? A keycap? Oh, okay. And then, so that could be like the line that the dude is surfing on, and there's a keyboard, and there's him being really gnarly. You know, obviously you'd have to make that, yellow, recognizable as a keyboard. And then you would have like keycaps streaming off behind him in a trace, kind of like that. So, you know, maybe you could cut that in so it would be like a bit more up here, and so you could still see the actual profile of the keycap and get a bit more detail so you can actually see that it's keycaps, or maybe even switches that are kind of peeling off at the moment, rather than just like what is those random little objects. You want to use yellow? Okay. All right. So then, oh, I ended up drawing on half of that page. That's okay. You get the idea. You get the idea. All right. So the last one really that's not simplified logo related, I guess we'll just, you know, like everyone knows what our logo is, right? And this is the logo. So there's different colors and adding possibly text underneath it and stuff like that, or changing it. There is one where it's kind of simplified and there's a caricature of my face there as well, with the microphone and stuff like that. And that's all well and good and it works, but it's not, I'm not going to say that it's not creative in the sense, because it's obviously different and novel, but not in the same degree of what we're trying to ideate. So the last one, which I also immediately had a hilarious thought about, was the Bugling Spring beating an MX Blue. Now there's a comic out there, and I think it's actually from Alturd, and it originally just gave me the thought of like, they draw caricature muscle men, right? So it's like a person, and there's like, you know, obviously the body and legs and stuff, and then they've got like ripped muscles. It's the wrong way? Okay, well how about Daddy fixes that for you, right? Is that better? Yeah, okay. And so this would be like Bugling Spring, because they write text on it. Now I know this is knocking off their idea and concept, but that was what first came into my mind, and they've kind of got like, you know, maybe just like a club, and then down here there would be like
Pink. Pink fish.
You want pink? Okay, you want to use the pink. Alright. And then down here is like a huddled person, like they're in a fetal position. And then that would be, you know, MX Blue, although it's drawn in pink. And then there's like tears streaming down their mouth. But then one of the comics that I really kind of love and thought was hilarious is the fact that like there's in the shadows, over on the side is like this massive guy, right? And usually it's like something even bigger, right?
A big guy.
A big guy, yeah, a really big guy. And he's got like this massive club with like spikes on it, and then there's obviously, you know, something else. But then it's like, if you've got a MX Blue switch and then you got a Bugling Spring, you don't really get higher than Bugling Spring. So my thought was it was actually going to be an MX Blue switch, and then it was going to be a click bar, and then it would be Bugling Spring. But of course, the problem with doing this is that in itself is copying somebody else's idea. So of course, I'm trying to give credit. I probably got it wrong on who the actual comic artist is that originally drew this kind of like almost meme format to it. So we would obviously park that. Yes? What do you want to draw with? You want to use purple? You want Daddy to use purple? Okay. So we would obviously have to transform that a little bit and move away from anthropomorphic humanization. It's probably, I don't know, is that how it's described? And then we would just go with like the box switch. Recognizable as a box switch. And obviously
A box switch.
a box switch, yeah, you know, a box switch, right? And then there's a standard stem, the blue switch lying on its side, maybe with like the top cracked open, something like that. And then over here there'd be like what does that look like? I don't know. I don't have a very clean picture of what a Bugling Spring looks like, but the Bugling Spring is kind of like in the shadows, waiting to come out. Just some fun, just some thoughts on how we would convert that and make it workable. So there you go. So there's some ideas for actual stickers that I would love to be able to get involved with and sort of flesh out a bit more into some cool stuff. I mean, there's already heaps of people who do fantastic stickers out there, like the artist that's been working with Colourway to get those panda stickers, as well as like the Box Royal stickers, and when we had the cap cracking fiasco, and those a little bit etchy kind of switch stickers, a bit risque out there. So yeah, some ideas. If you would like to assist with that, I obviously can't promise how these will go and what finances I have available to pay for artistry, but if you want to support us here on the board, you want to help out with some sketches, ideas, fleshing them out, then please, by all means, get in touch with me. Outrage Pudding is someone I've been talking to about this. I don't know what his capacity is time-wise to be able to work on this project, but you know, more than happy for it to be a big collab between people, because we could have a couple of different people work on one sticker and somebody else working on a different sticker and stuff like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just one thing. It is a group, community-based idea, competition project, etc., etc. So the more people that get involved, the merrier. And of course, the idea is to just fundraise so we can do more interesting things as well. So there you go. There you have it. Thank you, of course, to everyone who participated in the competition. Really love and appreciate it. And if you like us doing this kind of wacky stuff with keyboards and the podcast, please hit that like button below. Please hit share. Get the word out there. Please hit subscribe if you've not subscribed to us. And don't forget, we have our hopefully weekly podcasts as well, which you can find on iTunes, soon to be Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all the syndicated libsyn network. Okay, well, it's time to finish and say bye-bye. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody? Yeah? Are you going to say goodbye? Or are you just going to wave? Alright, well, thanks for coming along and checking out the video. And of course, as usual, until next time, happy clacking.